Hello, and welcome to Mind-Body-God Connection. Have you ever questioned the way we think about disease? What would happen if we took a new approach at an old way of looking at how disease starts? What would happen if we challenged some of our current beliefs and turned them on their side? Every so many decades and even 100 years later, we discover that something which we once thought was true science was not the case. For example, bloodletting. This was a treatment in which large amounts of blood was taken from a patient's body in order to cure and prevent disease. Bloodletting was practiced for thousands of years until the 19th century. That was not too long ago. In fact, the first president of the United States, George Washington, died from bloodletting. Now, no doubt, we've come a long way since then, and history shows that periodically we need to reevaluate our current practices. If you lived back in the 1800s and had a wound infection, more than likely you would not have survived. Back then, hand washing was not a common practice. Not only was it common to die from wound infections, but also from diarrhea, pneumonia, TB, and even childbirth. But we have learned the importance of hand washing, and with the discovery of antibiotics, deaths from those diseases are now rare in the United States. We are living in an exciting time, a time in which science is exploding with new technology. And once again, we are re-evaluating old science. We're starting to take a new look at the way we look at disease, a look from the mind's point of view. There is a new way of looking at disease. Well, the brain is connected to the body, and when one suffers, the other sympathizes, as we will see in the case of Karen. Let me tell you a little bit about her situation. Karen met Tom. He seemed to be a really nice guy. He was attractive, had a great job, and a wonderful sense of humor. But he was a little controlling, a little jealous, especially when Karen was being admired by another guy. But Karen had fallen in love, and after just 3 months of dating, they decided to get married. They had a spectacular wedding. It had all of the trimmings, a beautiful ceremony, a lavish reception, 2 weeks on a honeymoon, and they appeared to be the perfect couple. But just a few months into the marriage, Karen saw big red flags that she had somehow missed while they were dating. Tom became more jealous, incredibly possessive, and now he was verbally abusive. Before marriage, Karen was healthy, she was happy, she was full of life. She exercised, ate a great diet, and had no medical problems. But during that first year, she had frequent headaches, frequent colds, frequent bouts with the flu. Later, she started having chest pain, stomach problems. She went to the doctor, he gave her medications, but he could not find a reason for her frequent symptoms. Well, the verbal abuse intensified, and Karen could not do anything right in the eyes of Tom. And like most people, when we're stressed out, I know I eat. Well, Karen started to binge eat, and she gained 50 pounds. Well, Tom was not happy with her weight gain. He made her feel stupid, unattractive, and just worthless. But Karen was in love, and she longed for his affections. She tried to prove her self-worth. She started taking on more responsibilities. Wanting to win is hard. In addition to cooking, cleaning, shopping, working full-time, she began to take care of his mother. She had become ill and moved into their home. Well, the stress was taking a toll. She was becoming burnt out. Karen continued to go to her doctor, but now with symptoms that had a real name. She was depressed and now on antidepressants and acids for her stomach, blood pressure medications, medicine for her joint pain, and sleeping aids. And several years later, she was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. After 20 years of this foolishness, a body racked with pain, a broken spirit, and mental depression, she finally decided to leave Tom. So what happened? What happened to Karen? Why did she become so sick? Was she exposed to chemicals? Was it in her genes? Or was it a result of a toxic relationship with Tom? Maybe you know a Karen, or perhaps you are in her situation. For years, we have made certain assumptions that diseases such as cancer, diabetes, heart disease, autoimmune diseases are a result of our genes. These killer diseases demand that we take another look at the cause. Without a doubt, we have definitely made some unbelievable strides in technology. But what is the root cause of disease? Well, a new and exciting field of science explores the links between the mind and the body. It is called psychoneuroimmunology, PNI. It looks at the connections between the brain, chemical messengers, and the immune system. This is new research, and it shows that prolonged stress is a major cause in the development of many diseases. There is a mind-body connection, and it links to disease. This research shows that some of our most common diseases have their origin in the mind. It shows that our thoughts can impact the structure and function of our brain. Now, let me ask you, what do you think? Do you think that what is happening in the brain can affect the heart, the lungs, and the bones? Do you think that our thoughts can change the structure and the function of our cell and literally change our DNA? Remember that song from way back, Them Bones? Your hip bone connected to your backbone and your backbone connected to your shoulder bones? Well, just like those bones connect to give us a framework, a frame for our body, we see direct links between body organs. The field of psychoneuroimmunology looks at the brain, the immune system, and endocrine glands. They all connect. They are in constant communication with all parts of the body. As they talk, they send chemical messengers and electrical impulses, and the brain is the conductor. It controls every organ in the body, the heart, the lungs, the liver, the kidneys, and it tells the body what, when, where, and how to behave. And the body says, okay, even if the brain is sending bad instructions. So, how does this work? Well, it can be easily demonstrated. Let's say that you are at home. You're relaxing and you're feeling very comfortable in your easy chair. You've just finished a meal and you are listening to the radio or the TV, and suddenly there is a powerful knock on your door. And before you can say, who is it, a squad of police kicks in your door and all eyes and guns are pointed at you. Well, right about now, you're not feeling very comfortable. That leisurely, relaxed feeling that you had just seconds ago, it is gone, and you are sweating bullets. Now, I must admit the police are very nice. They say, oops, it's the wrong house. Now, you are grateful for the mistake, but your body is going through some serious changes. Information from the outside world, the police, the guns pointing at you, are transmitted on nerve cells with lightning speed. They are registered in the relay center of the brain, an area called the thalamus, and it says, okay, you have three options. You can fight, you can take flight, or you can freeze. Well, I would opt for option number 3, freeze. Well, this cascade of events occurring in your body in real time. It is happening so fast that your emotions just take over. Remember the amygdala, the site of emotions? It is sounding the alarm. It is irate, furious, and it shoots a message up to the frontal lobe, the thinking part of the brain, and it says, you saw what just happened. Do something now. Don't just stand there. Well, the frontal lobe is the executor of the brain. It's diplomatic. And it says, just calm down. Take a deep breath. Relax. Thank goodness we were not killed. Well, the amygdala is going berserk. It is saying, what do you mean calm down? You're not going to let them get away with that. Well, this train of events has triggered what is called the HPA axis. It is a continuous loop connecting the mind with the body. It includes 3 organs, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and the adrenal glands. The hypothalamus is the body's thermostat. It has many functions. It regulates temperature, thirst, hunger, sexual drive. It also regulates our blood pressure, heart rate, digestion of food, sleep cycle, and the immune system. It also regulates the hormone CRF, which is a stress hormone. The hypothalamus is on top of the pituitary gland, right above the pituitary gland. And this gland directs the release of chemical messengers, our hormones. The pituitary gland regulates chemical messengers, our hormones. And it is the link between the brain and the body. It dumps its hormones into the bloodstream. Hormones such as the thyroid hormone, prolactin, and growth hormones. That's just to name a few. There are many, many more. Now, take for instance, the growth hormone. If you have too much of this hormone, it will cause a person to become extremely tall. And if you have too little of growth hormone, you will have a short stature, a dwarf. Under severe stress, these chemical messengers interfere with growth hormones. Remember J.M. Barrie, the author of Peter Pan? He wrote a lot of children's stories. He had what is called stress-induced dwarfism. This guy had a horrible childhood. He suffered severe psychological stresses very early in life. The death of his brother, his father was in the army and was never at home, and his mother was severely depressed for 20 years. And she basically ignored him. Well, this stress caused extremely low levels of growth hormone, and it stunted his growth. As an adult, he barely stood 5 feet tall. The pituitary gland also releases a hormone called ACTH. When this hormone is released into the bloodstream, it is picked up by the adrenal glands. And we have two adrenal glands. They produce a stress response, the production of epinephrine, norepinephrine, and cortisol. These are stress hormones. And this system, the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, and adrenal gland, forms the HPA axis, which connects the mind and the body. Now, this system is crucial to survival. It releases hormones at the right doses and at the right time. And without this system, we would die. But it can be overstimulated. We all have experienced overstimulation of the HPA axis, running from a ferocious dog, a sudden unexpected scare, or a near car accident. Just think back to the last time you were in traffic and someone was speeding and they nearly hit you. Well, your HPA axis went into overdrive. Now, the body under this type of stress has an adrenaline rush. You're just cranking out those stress hormones and immediately you are in a fight or flight response. Your blood pressure increases, your heart rate increases, your pupils dilate. You become mentally more alert. You have increased levels of blood sugars, a release of fat, and you start breathing faster and you are shaky and nervous. All this happens extremely fast, within milliseconds. This is the body's response to stress, which is normal. We want that type of response in an emergency. But many of us are treating our bodies as it is an emergency every day. And this is how disease starts. So, how does stress cause disease? Stress suppresses the immune system. We need a healthy immune system to fight disease. It is the defender of the body. Our immune system defends the body from viruses, cancer-causing agents, toxins, bacteria, parasites, germs, and it is like the body's SWAT team. It has special weapons, and these weapons are called lymphocytes. They include the T cells, the B cells, natural killer cells, monocytes, and macrophages. There are many organs that make up the immune system, and the lookout post covers the entire body. The lymph nodes, the tonsil, the liver, the spleen, even our tears, stomach, lungs, saliva, and sweat glands contain chemicals that neutralize invaders. But prolonged stress suppresses the immune system. It suppresses the production of lymphocytes, the T cells, the B cells, and the natural killer cells. Prolonged stress inhibits the release of lymphocytes into the bloodstream. And those lymphocytes that are already in the bloodstream, the time is shortened in which they stay in circulation. Stress affects every organ in the entire body. It causes chronic inflammation, and this inflammation attacks the heart, the lungs, the brain, connective tissues, and other vital organs. Now, Karen had been in this horrible, abusive, degrading relationship for 20 years. Constant chaos, constant stress. And we see that she suffered from not only stress, but physical symptoms, which later progressed to disease. There is a mind-body connection. When we connect the dots, we can see how Karen's disease began. Tom, he was charming at first, but after that relationship, after she was married for a short time, he made her feel stupid. He was constantly saying, "You're fat, Can't you do anything right? Why did I marry you? Well, these negative messages activated a stress response in Karen's body. There are many negative effects when we develop stress. It suppressed her immune system. It increased inflammation in her body. It inhibits the repair of DNA, destroys brain cells, and damages blood vessels. Karen later developed congested heart failure. Is this why she went into heart failure? Because of the stress? She was healthy before marriage, but after being beaten down and degraded for so many years, Karen believes that her horrific marriage led to her disease. She felt that the heart disease, the depression, and the obesity was a direct result of her relationship. Now, other people might have other types of illnesses: diabetes, stroke, autoimmune diseases, and even some forms of cancer. These are all related to chronic stress. Well, Karen left home, as we know, but did she get any better? Well, I wish I could say yes, but no, she did not. She could have had a reversal of many of her symptoms, if not completely healed. There's a great possibility that she could have had tremendous improvement in her health. But this did not happen because she continued to turn on that same stress response. She harbored bitterness and resentment from the past. She would not let go. These negative emotions were turning on the same stress response in her body that she had when she was living with Tom. Now, we often are doing the right things. We're eating right, exercising, getting our sleep, and we wonder, why are we still sick? Well, I came across an interesting scripture, several scriptures in the Bible that shed some light on why many of us are still ill. In Jeremiah 15:18, the Bible asks this question: why is my pain perpetual and my wound incurable, which refuses to be healed? And in Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And when we know the truth will set us free if we act out the principles of truth. In Ephesians 4:31, this scripture encourages us to act out the principles of truth. It says, let all bitterness, wrath, anger, clamor, and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And in Hebrews 12:14-15, the Bible says, pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord, looking carefully lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled. We defile our bodies when we harbor an unforgiving spirit. Many of the diseases that we suffer from are here in the mind: bitterness, resentment, guilt, anger, anxiety, envy, jealousy. These emotions break down the body and cause an open invitation to disease. Now, the Bible encourages us to have a happy spirit, to have laughter. In Proverbs 17:22, it says, a merry heart does good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones. The Bible gave insight thousands of years ago into the importance of the bones and a happy spirit. Now, what happens in the bones? The bones are the defenders of the body. It is in our bones that our immune system houses lymphocytes, the T cells and the B cells. Negative emotions will dry up the bones, and then we have no protection from foreign invaders. When we look at the field of psychoneuroimmunology, we see that the brain, hormones, and the immune system, they all connect. We can also see how chronic stress lays the foundation for disease. Psychoneuroimmunology. This exciting field is cutting edge, and it explores the links between stress and disease. I encourage you to take this challenge. Start connecting the dots. When we do, we will see that there is a mind and body connection. As we learn to break bad connections, letting go of the past, learning how to deal with the stress in our life, and as we develop healthy coping techniques, I believe that we can avert many diseases and that healing, in many cases, will take place. Question: are you up to the challenge? I hope you are. And I encourage you to examine your life. Are there any areas that you have not surrendered? Are you holding on to bitterness from a past relationship? Don't you think that it's time to let go? It is time to let go. And you will see that in you, life will spring up. You will have that sparkle in your eye. There is a mind-body connection. Until next time, remember, it is in Him, the Creator God, that we live, we move, and we have our entire being.
Is there a connection between what we think and how we feel? Does the mind talk to the body and the body to the mind? Does this communication affect our spiritual walk? In her new book, Mind, Body, God Connection, Darlene D. Hall explores the links between the mind and the body and its development of disease. Mind, Body, God Connection is available at Barnes & Noble, on Amazon.com, and Christian bookstores nationwide. Mind, Body, God Connection by Darlene D. Hall.